it turns out that writing is my natural place. Like I communicate strongest writing. I learned pretty quickly that kind of the skills I already had, like listening, taking notes, all of these things were like hugely important, not just in sales, but in relationships.
Do you feel like you're not living up to your full potential because you're afraid of putting yourself out there? Is being an introvert stopping you from taking action on your dreams? Do you want to break out of your shell? In a world that lionizes loudness, it's actually the quiet and shy among us who are best set up to thrive. Tompson provides an important new way of understanding what it really takes to stand out, says Cal Newport, New York Times bestselling author of Deep Work and Slow Productivity. As a shy, stuttering kid, Michael Thompson never would have guessed that some of the biggest moments of his life would come from gaining the confidence to talk to strangers and feeling a little bit uncomfortable. This helped him discover the love of writing, become a top writer on Medium, meet the love of his life, become a career coach, plus achieve the visibility he was seeking for. In late 2019, Michael Thompson had under 1,000 followers on the publishing platform Medium, but received a note from a literary agent after she read a few of his articles. She asked if he'd ever considered writing a book, as she said he had the seed. Fast forward to today, it turns out Michael had the seed. His debut book is called Shy by Design, and it shows introverts are pretty excellent just as they are. Michael, thank you so much for hopping on the Zoom call today, and that I now have the opportunity to talk with you because I have been a huge fan. And I know from my tribe members that one day, I think 2 or 3 months ago, I asked them, hey, who would you like me to interview? And then someone said, Michael Thompson. And I was like, okay, is Michael Thompson still writing on Medium? Because I knew, you stopped at some point and now you're somehow back. And this is like the backstory of why it was then so amazing seeing you in Substack. So, Michael, thank you so much for joining me today. And what I know about you is that you have 2 boys in the house. You are a storyteller. You are a communication strategist. I know that you got featured in Insider and Fast Company and Forbes. And on Medium, you are a top writer with 80K followers. And now you have your debut book coming out. It's already been published. And so, Michael, what would you like to add to this like little introduction here?
Oh, that's a great intro, and thank you for having me. I think like I've been on Medium for, geez, I started there in 28, 2017 or something. So it was my start. Like I started to write a month, 90 days prior, and I stumbled upon Medium. Like, and it became my online home pretty quickly, and that led to the book deal. It led to a ton of opportunities at Insider. Pretty much everything started at Medium. And I've recently switched over to Substack, just for fun, to kind of start from zero again. I wrote a book. I took a break. I was on Medium. I published like 6 articles last year, maybe, and I'm still there, but I need a new home. And with Substack, I like the idea of starting at zero again, like which may seem a little odd. Like if you have a followership, like stick with it. But just the freedom of it. I've been writing a while, and the energy of starting over, getting to know new people. I've seen your name forever also, and it's just fun. Like it seems like with Substack, it's a lot of the people I used to hang around with at Medium have switched over. But besides the intro, yeah, like I don't know, like I always get kind of, it's like I don't like to talk about myself a lot. So I think you covered it.
And you told me that you came back from the beach. Where do you live, Michael, now?
So I'm in Costa Brava. It's about an hour and a half north of Barcelona. And we live in a little beach town. And I dropped my kids off at soccer camp, football camp, I should say, here this morning. And I went snorkeling. And it's kind of my way, like after, like my book came out last week. So I'm trying to get back to normal and get rid of, it's like I still have to shave. I still have to get a tan. But I'm trying to kind of get back in my old regiment of getting outside. Like I take the kids to school normally, and then I hit the beach. I go to the gym. I go to meet with a friend. So I'm trying to kind of get back in that rhythm of getting outside. So it's been like, I was going to do a photo today on Substack of my kitchen, just because my wife's been working a lot like the last 10 days, and she's an hour away in Girona, a really cool town. and I've been juggling the kids, and they're only at camp for 3 hours each day. So I had like the book launch, and my kitchen, like it's a disaster, like piled up clothes, dishes everywhere. And I was gonna be like, here's the reality of a book launch, like and a before and after of my face from then until now because I've aged a decade and I need to get back in the sun.
Yeah, and you also told me not about like your tan, also about your nose hair. So
Yeah, it's like I'm a mess. Just
you,
this area is kind of all right. Like it's still not all right, but the rest of my life right now is in shambles. But
oh,
good, but like really good shambles. Like it's
yeah.
fun to have, like my kids are around a lot. Like our school is across the street. So I'm on kid duty a lot during the week, and it's been like I've learned how to manage it, like and kind of laugh at it and not be a perfectionist around the house and just let stuff slide and focus on the thing. Like I'd rather play for an hour with them instead of clean the house for an hour, and I'd rather write for an hour than clean the house for an hour. So it's like you the juggling. Like sometimes my wife is home a lot and she'll work from home for an extended stretch, and other times it's more me. So it's just the juggling of life, and letting stuff slide has been really good for me. Like not worrying about the perfect environment and keeping a clean house. Yeah.
You now have your book ready. But when did it start? When did this idea started that you said, "Hey, I want to write a book"? How did you come to this moment where we now have our interview?
So I slowed down. I was writing for like like I got an agent. She reached out from an article on Medium in like 2019 or 2020. It's been a while, and I didn't really know how to write. Like, and she was like, "You have a story." I grew up stuttering, like, and I took a job in sales to get confidence. I got confidence. My stutter dropped some. We can get into that in a bit. Like, and she was like, "Well, this is a great story. Like you were in sales, shy, stutter. You found a way to do well at it. There's a book here." And I was like, "Oh, great!" Like, and I tried to start the next day, like, and I had nothing. The second day, nothing, and it turned into like 2 years. I pinged her like, "Hey, I need to learn how to write first," and so I dove into like not just previously I was doing like listicle stuff, like, and I was like, I can't get away with that for a book, so I dove into storytelling, and I was doing that for a couple of years, and I got like I started to get people reaching out like, I want to write how you write, like, and a couple of them wanted to write books, like, and I was like, oh, I can get paid to write, to learn how to write books with someone. And I connected a few of them with my agent. They got deals, and I spent the last 3 years with 4 books with clients. And at the end of that, about a year ago, I was like, all right, like I know what I'm doing. And I wrote my book probably in 100 days, I would say. Like more time for the editing, and I had a helper. So I was doing that, like, and I just couldn't keep up. Like, I wasn't born online. It's like I'm 46. And the online world has always been hard for me. Like, it takes me a while to hit publish. I have a friend who yells at me. Like, I call him, like, I think this thing's ready, and he's like, hit publish now. Like, I have to do it. So it's not like a natural state for me online. So the obvious option of what needs to go from my life to write books was not my kids, not my wife, not my friends. Like, online life has to go on pause. And my publisher and agent were cool with that. Like, and now I'm ramping up again. So the like now I'm going back. I had a hard time writing more than 600 words originally. Now I have a hard time writing less than 60,000 words. Now I'm going back to like notes has been super fun. I've never done short form. Um, so that's what I've been doing, and now I'm back to try to like. Hopefully, it's going to be easier just running articles and little sentences instead of actually writing a book. But that was really helpful. Like looking back, like I couldn't have written my book on my own. Um, it's like I needed the practice of it, and working with clients from like the first word to the last made that so much easier. And I would imagine I could write books like with clients. I'm so much faster now. I'm more confident with it, and with my own stuff too. I've just like the growth from that was really fast and good. But yeah, I had to hit pause from online, and it's yeah, it's weird coming back, huh? Like it is a struggle to try to come back. Like, how do you get hot twice? I don't know a lot of people who have taken like 2 year breaks and come back well. So that's another reason I started on Substack also, is just a fresh start. And it's been good so far, you know. But the book thing was a big, like, that took up a lot of time, and it was with clients, geez, like I was 20 hours a week on calls, 20 hours writing. I'm not a ghostwriter. I write with them, not for them. Like, and then I'll go in and spice it up and like sharpen the sentences, get it to sing a bit. But I like the idea. And then like now I can do articles, I can do books. It's like I'll never get sick of telling, like I get sick of my own story, but I'm like never get sick of other people's stories. So it
So
seems like,
somehow, Michael, we could say you turned from a content creator to a writer, and then really to an author now. Because somehow
yeah,
on Medium, this
right.
was like content, pumping out content in your listicles. Then you learned that you definitely have to level up your writing. You learned how to write, and then you became this author you are now.
Yeah, and I hope it's going to be easy to go back with articles. But yeah, the reason for writing the book though, like, was kind of a new challenge of like I didn't it's like I never thought I'd get an opportunity to write a book or even like make money as a writer. Like that just kind of happened just because like the world caught up to what I was doing at the right time. Like Medium started to pay right when I got hot. And it was just like whoa, like it wasn't my dream as a kid to be a writer. And then when it started to happen, both of my kids stutter, like, and one is really shy. So it's kind of like the book is Shy by Design, 12 Principles to Quietly Stand Out. So it's kind of my book I wish I had for me when I was young, and for my kids in the future, just to let them know that they're already cool and they don't really have to change. Like you have to adapt, like to survive. Like like adaptability is great for survival, but in terms of thriving, like don't adapt. Like you need to be authentic in yourself. And the book is that, like it's my principles, but it's doing like it's not for you to follow. It's for you to think of your own principles, and it's like a love letter to my kids, I suppose.
Oh, I love that. So I love the idea of getting paid to be you, and not pumping out something for the algorithm, because somehow I guess that you were at this
I
point
can't.
with Medium, you can't do this anymore. And I love that you mentioned your kids and that you want them to know that they are already cool and hot,
Yeah.
even though they might be feel shy or be stuttering. And so I guess it is also about leaving a legacy somehow.
Yeah.
Am I right about that?
Yeah, for sure. My dad got cancer during COVID, and I couldn't go back. It was a weird time, and it was one of those calls. Like the first call is like, "This is it." Like the doctor said, it's like he beat it. He got a second call saying that it's back. This is it, and he beat it again. And during that process too, he started to write his own memoir for me and my brothers. And I didn't really feel like writing at that time. Like it's kind of hard to write. Like especially like my small book felt small in comparison to the reality of life. And he was like, "Hey, I'm going to do this thing. You do your thing." So that really helped. Also, it's kind of like I needed like the why solidify. Like I needed a few whys. For writing, for me, like is it like I can't write if I don't feel something. And I've never been able to write for the algorithm and sustain it. Like I did it, like even starting with Medium, it was the stuff I wanted to see. It wasn't great stuff, but it was what I was curious about. And that, like all of those things, like kids, dads, it's kind of my time. It felt like also like my first mountain book, so to speak. Like it's like I'm kind of finishing that world or person. Like in the book is a reflection of the things I've learned and what people have taught me. It's not me saying you need to do this. It's more like here's like what somebody taught me, and it like here's a framework I developed from it. Take it or leave it. If it works for you, great. If you don't like it, just move on. So it's kind of a soft help, not self help. Like it's more soft, like gentle. Being here in Europe, you can probably relate to that too. Like in America, it is like a do this, do this, do this, and I've never like I don't like authority. I don't know if it's growing up stuttering and like is like I had experiences where authority would like made fun of me and picked on me, so I've like always kind of bucked it, and I've been self-employed for like 15 years. I don't like people saying you need to do this. And here in Europe, my wife wouldn't want me, like, she wouldn't share my book if it was, here's how to be successful. Um, so here in Europe, it's kind of tone like the messaging here is softer and just writing from your personal experience instead of a how to, it's a how I kind of thing with lessons from my kids, my wife, my clients, a mentor, kind of all rolled into one thing. It's kind of a reflection of most of my articles, like where it's not me who's the hero. Like in each story, it's somebody else is the hero in my own hero's journey. Like, and that's always made like writing feel more like more honest to me. And also as someone who's shy, it's like I don't like the spotlight. So it's like anytime I have like something where it's like I did something great, like it's usually like, well, no, I didn't. It's like I may have, but it wasn't me. Like there was other people involved in it. Like, and I want my kids to see that too. It was like where it is like we may have opportunities and reach our goals, but every goal, like at like every step of the way, is paved by someone prior. Yeah.
And I know, Michael, that you said now you're for 15 years self-employed. What did you do before you started writing on Medium and started your writing journey?
So I took it like in college, I studied political science and had a minor in business, mainly because like I found teachers where I didn't have to do public speaking. Basically, it was like courses where you can just read and reflect. And I got out of school and all of my friends were doing stuff. And I was bar backing. I got fired from my first job, like as a data person, and I'm not a data person. And I was bar backing at a bar in Baltimore, and all of my friends were doing something with their lives. And I took a sales job just because it's a personal challenge. Like, hey, like even if I'm fired in 30 days, whatever it is like I'm gonna face a challenge. It was like my biggest fear kind of thing. That actually ended up hurting like hell for 90 days. Like it was like I struggled. I screwed up on the phone. I still stutter on M's, especially. So my name's Michael. I was selling mortgages, like, and I just like a like awful pitch, in the beginning. But a couple of things happened in that job where my eyes opened up to the story I was like saying in my head. My self-talk was like, I'm not smart enough. I'm stupid. I'm never going to be enough. Da da da. And a couple of things like my eyes opened up in that job to things that, well, maybe I am enough. And I had like I saw that the top salespeople in the office, some were charismatic and extroverted, like a lot weren't. Quiet, shy, even socially awkward. The top guy was really socially awkward, but he put his head down. He listened. He took notes. He thought of his clients first. And the second thing is a during a conference, like a big sales guy said something at the end of his talk that he's like, if all else fails in sales and you can't get someone to open a door or talk to you on the phone, start stuttering. They'll see you as a human being instead of a salesperson. And I was like, holy cow! Like in short, and shortly afterwards, a lot of clients like said something like, "Oh, it's so nice you're not the typical salesperson." And for everyone who wants the charismatic and outgoing person on the phone, there's half the world doesn't want that. And I learned pretty quickly that kind of the skills I already had, like listening, taking notes, all of these things were like hugely important, not just in sales, but in relationships. And like I was a really good observer. Yeah, and that led me to gaining confidence and taking my confidence and money to Central America. I lost a bunch of money there trying to flip properties and got drunk for 2 years after I lost $250,000 in a phone call. I have a story on that in Medium that I may put on Substack actually. That and after that, I went to like I bought a ticket to Barcelona with $3,000 in my bank account, kind of as a Hail Mary, and here it just felt lighter. I didn't have the pressure around me of like I need to succeed in life, and I started to teach English. I taught people how to find jobs, like interview skills. My sales experience helped with helping, like, especially British people are really bad at selling, like notoriously bad for self promotion and interviews. So I had a client base of people I was helping. I started consulting. Yeah, and that rolled into writing. Like I met my wife 6 months into coming to Barcelona. We started a family. I started to write after we had our first kid as a reflection point, like, and also just to have a hobby at home. Yeah, and that just all of those experiences helped me to have stories to tell. So I look back and I think it's stupid. It's like, wow, for 15 like years I was in communication, sales, all this kind of stuff. And it turns out that writing is my natural place. Like I communicate strongest writing. And I grew up in a world where it's kind of the alphas. My dad was in the military, like, and I was surrounded by the strong types who commanding presences, and I was the opposite. And writing felt like home immediately. But I like look back and I'm like, my God, I like wasted a lot of time. But by wasting time, I have stories to tell.
Yeah,
So it all
absolutely.
like as you get older, like all of these mistakes you think you made when you were young, like are skills that were a waste of time or jobs you hated. All of them kind of come back and build like and stack, and they help you to do the things you want to do now. So I like look back at teaching and sales and all that stuff. That helps. Is like I don't think in sales and writing, but I know how to sell. And I probably that helps with copywriting. Some of my stories, like the key comment I get is I couldn't stop reading it. Like, and maybe that's just because it's a good story, but also psychologically, I know what to keep is like how to keep people's attention.
Hungry for more? Subscribe to my online writing club newsletter. If you become a member, you also get access to the writing community, the Substack school, the Medium course, and Q&As, live sessions, coachings, challenges, you name it. See ya inside. So I guess everything you shared with us now is a little dot that led you to where we are today, that we can talk about Shy by Design. And I'd love to know more. You told us about your sales life there, and about then embracing your stuttering, and how could you approach, let's say approach, how could you approach your now wife back then, in these like first 6 months? Then how did this go?
So with stuttering, it depends on the day now. Like I teach universities here, like leadership communication stuff. Like, and I like part of the charm of that is I'm not Tony Robbins. Like, and the students like relate to me more just because it's like, wow, like this guy's up here doing the things. My book is not a good to great. It's more like bad to not awful. The story of things. And with stuttering now, it's like if I'm sleeping well, I'm usually pretty good. If I'm exercising well, it's usually good. If my kids are sleeping well, it's usually good. But I have times where it's like I still stutter now. I just did, but I've generally catch me in a month after I like sleep again, like, and I'll probably be not stuttering nearly as much. For my wife, luckily she asked me out so that like I didn't have to do that.
She asked
But
you.
well, yeah, but the circumstances I was giving, I moved to Barcelona and I was illegal here after 90 days. I had a tourist visa and I just stayed. And I was teaching English for like cash in hand jobs. I was doing pub crawls. I was organizing football games for kids in English, like doing whatever I could to get by. And I got introduced to a guy who did seminars for the Catalan government. And I met with him and we had an interview and he was like, shit, like you're great for this job. It's just like you're not legal. I can't send you in to a government building. As I was walking out, I was like, well, it's the 10th time I've heard that. He was like, screw it. Like, we'll get you a passport from an Irish guy who looks like who has blonde hair also. So I got a gig doing presentation and negotiation skills. And the seminar was 20 hours. So it was 4 hours a week for 5 weeks. And like, and it only was like 6 people in the seminar. My wife, the first day, some Catalan guy was like, I got to know, like during a break, he was like, with your blonde hair and blue eyes, like Catalan women like must love you. My wife chimed up, like, no, 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 no. Like we like tall, dark, and handsome. But after the 20 hours of the seminar, I guess I grew on her. And at the last day, she was like, do you want to get lunch together? That turned into dinner the following Friday. I was living with her within like 3 weeks. Like it was
Wow.
really fast. Like
Yeah,
we were
wow.
both 35. I was 33 or 34 and she was 34, 35. Like, and we knew what we wanted. Like, and we were like, what, 2 hours illegal. If it was going to work, like we were going to have to see if it was going to work pretty quick. But she asked me out, like she stood outside, like it was the first time she ever asked anyone out. She's shy also. And her friends like that month were like, you, like, if you like someone, make a challenge, like ask them out. And she asked me just to like, do you want to grab lunch, like a casual thing, like, and that rolled into to having two kids. Yeah,
Cool.
like pretty quickly. Yeah.
And is this also part of your book, Shy by Design? The
Yeah,
story?
it's in there. Like it's in there. It's in the chapter of being bold in the moments that matter. It's like it's not these things of jumping off a cliff. It's just doing that, like asking that one person, sending that one email. Just those things like time and time again. It's just those like small encounters that we wouldn't even think twice about that kind of define our lives. And I just wrote like I published it yesterday of how my wife and I met. Like it's like what happened, like this is what happens when you stop, like is the title of it, like, and it's a story of how she, like I knew that I was gonna, like she was the one basically immediately from something she did. And but it starts with like if I hadn't lost my money in Central America, we never would have met. Like if some Italian guy hadn't said he needed a break, we never would have met. Like if she hadn't gone to Dublin to learn English, we never would have met. If I hadn't gone to Barcelona. So it kind of starts with like the like if these things didn't happen, or what we did to make it happen. Like, and it's funny how he just did a course. Like, it is kind of fit. Like, it's well, fate. Call it what you want, but something of he was doing something, like he was taking some kind of initiative in his life, and the reward for that maybe wasn't he was great at picking up a lot of women, but the right woman.
I also think it's all you have to take action first. But even if you don't feel ready, because ready somehow is a lie, you never feel ready. Doing it,
No,
it's
yeah.
always like overcoming, your fears. And do you think it was because you mentioned this already? Like, do you think it's faith, or do you think it was or destiny somehow, or do you think it is about taking action in the moment, which I would think
I
the answer.
just wrote in the article. I wish. I hope I don't say here. I'm gonna actually. I may have it open. Is there's a line I wrote. Like it's one of those sentences where I just kind of blacked out. Like I don't remember writing it. But it's something like how fate isn't a person or a destination, but rather a choice. That I think it's the choice of going after like the things you want to go after and improve. So I think it's like if you're doing like if you're making those choices, fate will appear. So it's kind of a nice way to think. Like in The Alchemist, there's something about like if you step forward, like the world will open up to you. I don't know if that's true all the time. Like it's definitely not true all the time. But if you're going after the things that you want in life, you set like you create luck.
And do you think somehow this is there's something that wants to hold you back, or do you think this is just some hurdles that life wants you to overcome again?
Like I think it makes it fun. And when I like growing up as a kid, like we went camping and the times it rained for a week and my dad was pissed off, like we're gonna have fun, damn it. Those are the trips I remember, not the ones that went perfectly well. So it's kind of like my book launch memories will be me surviving and thinking about all the stupid stuff that kind of happened along the way.
You mentioned already this because if someone is stuttering, there's always a reason for it, as far as I know. And
Yeah,
do you think that your dad had a lot to do with it then?
that's a really good question. I'm not sure if it's my dad or just the environment I was in, just because it was in a like I they lived in Frankfurt actually. Like my brother is German, he was adopted, and they the environment was the strong types. Like, and I was like, if you see family photos of me as a kid, I'm always right behind my mom's leg, like peeking out. So I think I kind of felt like I was the one that wasn't good enough, and probably the stutter stemmed from there. It's also something that gets passed down. Like for my kids, it's a hereditary thing. They both have the power to control it. They're at the age where they don't care, but like, and it's funny, we moved to this town 2 years ago, more or less. The first week my kid was he just turned 8, and he went into a class and he was stuttering in the class, and three of the boys went to the teacher after class and asked them like, what should we do when he starts to stutter? Do we help him? Do we give him space? Like, and these are 8 year olds.
Oh.
Like I didn't grow up with those 8 year olds in my life. So I think it was a comment like school. I got my first week of high school. The directors, the students had made fun of me. He threw me outside. Like it was like a legit, like he was going to kill me. I thought like I did a love tap back, like stop doing that. Like, and he flipped out on me. He's like, don't ever touch me again. Da, da, da. so I have these things, and then kids who are kids, like I look at it now, it's like I don't hold on to any grudges of anyone who was 10 and being a 10-year-old. But all of those things probably kind of exasperated it. Like, and then you screw up, like being the new kid always, because we moved every year or two, is like I had to get up in front of the class, like that typical stuff you see in a movie of a kid, like the teacher's like, stand up in front of the class and introduce yourself. It was like, I hate you immediately. So it was just kind of like I look like the average American blonde hair, blue eyed, green eyed guy, whatever it is. And but like not disability, but like it's obvious, like especially when I was young, is that I stutter. Like, and it's not like it makes me like it's kind of like a visible disability almost, yeah. And so I got picked on for it. My parents were like are great people. Like my dad's just kind of it's like he's more German, like he's very direct, like straight line. So I think it was just a culmination of my environments and being like a kid in the 80s. Like it wasn't like in the movies, like you see a kid getting stuffed in a locker. Like it was that kind of thing.
Mm.
Yeah. So I think that just kind of exasperated it. And then what really helped was like I was still stuttering like pretty bad until I started writing. And now I know what I want to say, so I just have to focus on how I'm going to say it. But with writing, it really was I took the time to reflect on who am I, what do I stand for, values, and what's good about me. What's the story I tell myself all the time? Like my self talk is still like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, I'm gonna screw up. But I think that's the same way for just about everybody. And being like open in that in the writing gave me confidence. And generally, it's like I don't get bad comment. Like one bad comment. I wrote an article for Business Insider when when Biden was running for president 4 years ago. They messaged me like, "Do you want to write an article about being a leader who stutters?" And I replied back like, "I'm not a leader." Like, and they were like, "Yes, you are. Well, you know, just own it." Yeah. And I wrote an article, and the first comment was like, "I just can't take this guy seriously." Like, and it was just like that's the only one that kind of stung for a second. But then at the same time, I was working with clients who were like well above his pay grade. You know, like it's just kind of like you don't have to attract everyone. That clarity came after I started to write. Like, and it's why I tell people to write. Like, my kids read and write. Like, that's the only thing. Like, go play football all day. But for a half an hour, you have to sit down and you have to read and write. Like, it's kind of their daily homework. And I try to make it fun. Like, it's not like values at age 6. Like, it's more stupid stories and even drawing, but something that expresses who they are. And with writing, like it's cliched that writing's thinking. It's also like the best way to become self-aware. It's also the best way, like your communication skills too. I would bet that they've improved since you started writing.
100%.
Like it's the best way to speak better is to write.
Is it the moment you learn to speak that you already start stuttering, or is it coming a bit later?
It was around five, I think 5 or 6 for me.
Ah.
Like, and it is something I don't know the it's like some of the therapist said it was probably a triggered event, like something happened. Maybe I blocked it out. Like I've done the work with therapists and stuff. Like with it's like I still have a coach, and I don't know the exact like when it started. With my kids, it is more just like it could be too that they speak 3 languages. So it's Catalan with their mom, and in school it's Spanish, street, playing football, movies, and it's English with me. So I don't know if their brains are just kind of jumbled. Like it is a lot going on. Like they're switching really fast. But they start like my oldest is the one like he's 9 and he'll go months without it. But when he kind of just lets it go, like this summer he's been stuttering a lot. Like and we have to go back to a therapist and he's like I don't want to go. The therapist is like my 9-year-old takes after my wife's side of the family is like uber smart. He reads like 30 books a month, like big books. And the therapist is like he knows how to stop. Like he meets with me, he doesn't stutter at all. Giving presentations in school, his teacher's like never stutters. But when he's relaxed, just having fun, like it comes out from him. And the youngest one, I don't know if the youngest one is just used to me and his older brother. So it's kind of like osmosis. But I think with him too, it is like he speaks cleanly in Catalan, but in English, like he's 6 and kids start to speak they speak their like it's maternal, like it's what's the word? Mother tongue
Oh,
is very real, and they start to speak the dad's language like later. Like they'll say hi and stuff, like and speak some, like and understand English, but they didn't start like really speaking it until age 4. And my youngest just turned 6, so he's trying to figure everything out. But I always think it's a lot. And my oldest now is studying he's studying Italian, so he's got even more in his head, like where it's just kind of like if he stutters, it's not the end of the world. He also doesn't, he's one of those kids that just like I cared. Like I'm a people pleaser. I want people to like me. My 9-year-old is very much his own person. Like if the kids are playing football and he doesn't want to play, he'll go sit in a corner and he'll read a book, and like no angst that everyone's playing football all day. Like he just does, he's always been that way where he just does his own thing. Plus, he's really cute. So I don't know if that really helps him. Like, it's hard to make fun of the kid that the girls like in school, you know? I didn't have that luxury. But yeah, he's got a weird confidence where it's almost like it's like he doesn't give a shit.
yeah.
Like, and maybe
That's
it's because
good.
he's young still and it hasn't, like, once he hits age 12, a lot,
Yeah.
yeah, like maybe a little bit older. But the kids here are really nice kids too. Like I feel like I'm living in a utopia in a way.
Mm.
Like it's like wow, like 8-year-olds go and ask the teacher this. He doesn't worry about being the weird kid in school who stutters. The world's improving, even though it sucks. Like it's still improving.
Young kids can be very cruel.
Yeah, yeah.
And
With bullying online too.
yeah,
Like my
but
kids don't want smartphones. They're like, no, 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 no.
yeah,
Like
I
it's
heard
not.
this. I read this that you
Yeah.
don't have smartphones. This is also something that I think
The not the yeah, he's what the thing
admirable.
of Mark Zuckerberg's kids don't have
Mm,
smartphones. They go to schools with no technology. Like he heard that, like, and he was like, "Oh, screw them. Yeah,
I
like I don't
see.
want that."
Yeah.
And if he has like he wants a burner like a drug dealer phone so he can call if he's in trouble. Like it's the kind of town where my kids can go to the park alone. Like we don't have to worry about a white van pulling up in America. Like you can't, like no one does that anymore. He's one of those kids who will use technology for what it, like Nick Goki, of like one of my favorite writers and close friend, wrote something about like use your phone like you would your toothbrush, like as like an instrument, a tool. And my oldest is like that. Like he likes technology, but he's in like a robotics class. He likes this kind of stuff and using it for Duolingo. He uses a tablet, but it's not for anything. Yeah, like he doesn't want that of sitting around in a corner, like sitting on a bench with 4 kids looking at a phone. He looks at that like poof. There's a really cool TED talk about how to reclaim your creative youth or something. There's a stat from NASA that 98% of 5-year-olds test at the genius level, 13% of 15-year-olds, and then as adults it's 2%. And it's basically like we've met with like my oldest is a smart kid and he's has like those like higher level classes and he's taken testing for it, like, and they're all like he's kind of a math kid, like he likes to solve problems, but his creativity like level was really really high, and it's the creativity side of solving problems, not necessarily making something new. They were like your only job is to keep, yeah, just to keep him curious, like for half an hour a day it's reading, writing, or building, like just that little bit. But the technology's at like so many articles are just like I don't recognize my 13-year-old anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like there's a really cool thing, like Jonathan Haidt, I think it's like Haidt, just wrote a book. He's like the leader in like new world technology and stuff. He did a really good interview about the power of summer camps, about he sent his daughter to a summer camp where it's like for a month of sleeping in bunks with kids, no phones, and she came back like his old daughter. And then she started school again and she got a smartphone and it was back to the way she was. Like so it's kind of, that's kind of a good message, like get rid of the phones, you know.
Here, for instance, are also many summer camps, type of summer camps, where I think that people can like somehow reconnect to their past selves or whatever
Yeah,
we
yeah,
call this.
like just the simplicity of living like the 90s. Like a friend of mine told me like a couple years back, he was like, "Oh, I know why you're successful writing. It's because you lived for 35 years without a smartphone." Like, and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of like it's kind of like just by default, like I didn't have the option." But yeah, he was like, "You have stories. you have experiences, you have conversations on trains that you can pull from. And it is, yeah, if it's like, if you want to be a good storyteller, you gotta like be in the world. There's like, I think you're friends with David McElroy. Like he strikes me as a writer. Like he'd like fantasy, like he can sit down and just write. I had like I'm jealous of that. But I have to live to write. So if I'm not writing, like if I'm stumped or I'm stuck or like writer's block, whatever it is, it's generally a reflection of me not getting outside enough and me glued. Like I like just like anyone with stats and stuff. Like it's hard to not like, especially if it's tied to money. Like stats plus money on Medium was just a recipe for addiction. Like, and no matter what, like I knew it. It's like I'm somewhat smart, like, but my wife saw it too. She's like, Jesus Christ, like, yeah, it's amazing how it can grab you. So I like with Substack too. It's not about the money yet, like keeping it pure of just so I don't fall into the trap again. Because I probably would. Like, I'm not like disciplined. I probably would be like, oh, I have likes and validation and money. Of course, I want that. If I'm not feeling good one day, I'm gonna go there and feel like I matter for a brief second.
What about you, Michael? Do you watch TV or binge watch series? It is. I don't say
Yeah, I
it is the
do.
bad thing to do, but again, it's a definitely time consuming. This is what I mean. And if you are a part time
I
creator, then you are somehow a full time creator. But still, I know with snorkeling and doing all the kid stuff, you are also a dad. Let's say 50% of the day, and also someone who's living a very healthy lifestyle, which makes you look so good with your blue
what
eyes and your
makes
blonde
me
hair
like a
and
healthy
your tan.
lifestyle.
I
I
can't
still smoke cigarettes from time to time. I
really
drink.
what?
I do occasionally. Just because Spain, like it's weird that like everything here is rational. Like I'm not used to in America. If you drink, you black out. Like if you smoke, it's a pack a day. Here, like people can have a cigarette at a party, like and not want one like the next day, and I'll casually have stuff. Yeah, but I remember when I like I'm so your child was born in 2020, so 4 years. Like
Yeah, yeah,
you like, in your second is right by, like I'm 5 years ahead of you.
yeah.
Like, and I remember my first couple of years, I didn't watch a lot of TV. I was writing and I was going into Barcelona. We lived in the Pyrenees at the time for work. So I was like you, I was running a lot. And that's just kind of how I made it work. And I liked the fact, like you can like attest to this. You said this with Tom's interview of the time, like I only have an hour, so I'm gonna get stuff done. Like generally, my writing takes a lot of time. For every article, it's like a minute per word, basically. I'm really bad, but that's like I only write an article a week, so it's kind of like I'll do my 50 words a day, whatever it is. Once I got hooked on storytelling stuff, like I listened to a lot of music. I watch American Idol because I like the stories of like the people struggle, like, and the judges. I love like their response is kind of like my dessert instead of ice cream. But I watch a lot of TV and movies just because I like the storytelling side of it. So I can kind of spot the writing. Like I watched The Bear as a good series of an example of something that you just kind of appreciate. That I'm not dissecting, like I'm just enjoying that. But my mind's always looking at something like, what if they had done this instead? What if they like this would be more effective if it's that way? What hooks me? What doesn't hook me? It's not just article. Like I don't read a ton, especially self-help. Like I try and stay because it influences me too much, or I'll get that thing like somebody just wrote about that. I don't like I don't need to write about it. Like it kind of blocks me. So I like to keep it kind of pure, and I'll watch like more like fantasy stuff, fiction stuff, like anything story related. Yeah, and my mind's always looking at like what could be changed, what could be improved. How's the dialogue? Like I really like dialogue right now. It's like I want to write screenplays, like is like my next thing in kids books. So I'm always looking at like I look at kids books, I look at the cartoons with kids, like what works. So I do what like I'm lazy, huh? Like I've gained 5 kilos since I started the book also. So I need to get back and shit. Like I know I say it like self-deprecating or something, but the reality is like I feel like this is the year I got old. Like I want to write an article about this. Like just because I like the things are stacking, like where I'm getting lazier. I like TV more. I'm wearing jean shorts. My wrinkles have started to come through. I've gained weight, like, and it takes time to get it off. Like it all Like I blame the book for everything, not my kids. My like
The book.
the
So,
book.
or you reached a milestone in your life where for the first time you said, now I can be a bit lazy, you know? Could also
Yeah,
be
like
some.
I had other. Yeah, normally I work better when I am healthy, like of course, like everyone. But when it was like the book, like I was getting up at 5, I had a couple hours. Like for me to write, I need silence. Like I can't have like in some days I'd wake up at 5 and watch a movie, like if I wasn't feeling it. But generally, like I need time. Um, and yeah, it was kind of the sacrifice, like the four burner thing of health, family. Like I let my house slide for a year. And I know as soon as I start to exercise again, I'll write better articles. Like, like, and I know it'd be like, God damn it, why didn't I stick with it? But I'm really bad with sticking like with healthy habits. Like it's a struggle for me. It's a fight. It's like I like pizza. I like is like I don't want to live by a rigid rule. I don't know if I should be saying that as a self-help writer, but yeah, I don't like
It,
abide by that.
it makes you human, I think. And I guess no one would say that you are a lazy person, you know, because again, on Medium, you gained 80, more than 80,000 followers, you know. Now you're on Substack writing there, and you managed to publish a book, you know, within 100 days, which I think is awesome. So you might feel like
Yeah,
lazy
and I have
today.
like, and I teach at the university. I have clients. I did like last week. I felt worthless. Like I was like, I'm not doing anything. Like in some like a German student, like Carl, like was like, I've met your wife and your kids. Like you've already won. Like chill out. First off, but he was like, you had three. Like my two clients' books in March were named like the top books for Financial Times, like right next to each other, and my book's doing well, and but I feel like I'm not, like I have these mornings where it's just like, oh shit, like everything is going to fall apart tomorrow. And it's just like I think that's just a normal thought of like I've been self-employed for 15 years, like horribly self-employed. Like I've never gotten confident. Like every time I lose something, I get something. Like every time that a client says, hey, it's time to move on, like I'll get a new client. For 15 years, like I've never had breaks of like lapses. But I still have that, like I'm a horrible entrepreneur. Like it's not like I'm not a good like I'm not good of like, and that probably helps my writing is because I have a lot of ups and downs. Like I'm the typical American, like it's really high or really low. But I've never had like stability of thinking like I'm never gonna sleep on the street. Like it's like I've done, like my kids will be rich, I'll die poor kind of thing. But I still like think that it's just all a ruse and I'm a fraud and I'm not good. And yeah, it's fun. Like that's why I probably should exercise, because today I went snorkeling and I feel good about myself. You know, even though it's snorkeling, like I don't know if I exercised, I just lay there. Like I read that Tiger Woods scuba dives because nobody can bother him there. Like, and I like I'm the same with snorkeling, like where it's not necessarily sweating or swimming, it's more just like breathing and like no noise.
And
Yeah,
did you see some fish then?
yeah, like I live in a good area. Yeah, it's like Menorca but on the land. Like it's kind of like like it's pine trees along coast with coves, like clear water. So it's a horrible place to live. In 2020, like I don't know if I like manifested this. We came here for a month during the summer after COVID. Like we had a break in the restrictions and we went to the beach. And I was walking down a street and the sun was setting over like a Catalan flag and I could see a little bit of the water and like a building. And I was like, I'm gonna live here and I'm gonna write a book. And I live on that like we bought an apartment on that same street 2 years later just by coincidence. And like like I said then and I say it now, is like this is the like it's not the prettiest beach town, but there's life. Like in Costa Brava and in Spain in general, there's towns like in like northern Spain, like this side of Spain, it gets cold in the winters. Like this town has life year round, so it's not like a postcard town, but there's people in the street. Like, and I said then that this is the place I want to die. Like I just kind of like with my wife, I knew it. Like, and here it's just kind of I know like my personality type. Like water relaxes me. I'm not a hippie, but I do like my shoulders drop. Like I may be a hippie, I don't know. But something about this place, the people, the friendliness, yeah, it's good. Like we sold our apartment in the Pyrenees area and bought this one like within a 10-day window. Like and we moved, like it was pretty quick. And it's like, But the lifestyle thing, like I write what I want to write, and I wouldn't be able to do that if I lived in New York City. There's not like I'd be like I have to move a lot faster, and I'm slow with the creation side. And like it's like what, why, all these things are. Where has been like the biggest factor in my life and happiness and creativity than just about anything else. Like and follow like if you want to like try a new place, we've lived in Barcelona, the Pyrenees here, we're not like I'd like to stay here just because I'm a beach person. Like in Barcelona's close. Girona, which is an amazing city, is 40 minutes away. Like we're not in the middle of nowhere, but we feel like we are when we're here. That has just freed up a lot, like, and we don't need as much. Like it's not the city costs. So it really has been like where's a really big thing, and I like the sun, and if it took me a long time to get here, like, and that's kind of like the fun of it too. I appreciate it now. It's like I grew up, like I spent time in Poland as a kid and Pennsylvania. Like every depressing film in the United States is filmed in Pennsylvania. Like so gray, and so here it is kind of like I appreciate where I am. And like I give energy to the locals here. It's funny, like none of them go to the beach. Like they're just like, I was it's just normal for them. So we got that, like we have a group where it's like, let's start going back to the beach.
Really? This is now a
Yeah.
movement.
Yeah,
Something
well,
like
yeah, like there's a group of women. Like I just did a note, like I replied to a note about that. There's a group of like 80-year-old women who get in the water 365 days a year here. And like in right now it's July. It's not a painful experience getting in the water. Like these cold plunge people who are in like Mexico in the summer, it's like, geez, it's 100 degrees outside and you got in cold water. Like, wow, good for you. Yeah. But these women, like it gets like the water gets down to like 10, 11, 12, like, and they go every day. Like, and that's what I want to do. Like I want to be 80 and have a group of friends that get in the water every day, laugh for a half an hour in the water and grab a beer like our coffee afterwards.
yeah.
Like that's the dream.
Do you think, Michael, that all the things we were talking now in this interview are also some of the things that people can read in your book?
Yeah, I could like a lot of the self-talk, like the first part of the book is a lot of self-talk stuff. Like how I switch the story and curiosity in others. Like I have the third chapter is how to treat your curiosity as your primary responsibility, and it's about curiosity in yourself plus other people, and how to put people at ease so they can open up to you. Like, and it's not big things. It's not like tell me your story. I'm like immediately. It's like I look at it like my job with friends or with anyone is a biographer of like learn something new every time I speak to them. Just get one thing from them. But the book is very laid back in how to make connections with people. It's my guidelines for how I do it, how I get students to open up, students from Syria, students from Canada. Like it doesn't like my students are from all over the world in the master's program, and like how do I set that environment for them to open up, and when they do open up, the friendships in the class form, also the connections with me. So all of that stuff is in there. It's how I've figured out how to do it. Like it's basically I've said this in a couple of interviews. It's like everything I learned as a kid was wrong, about how to make people comfortable. Like you don't have to be the alpha. Like just like I don't want an alpha approaching me. No one that like most people don't. Like maybe in high school it's cool, but it's more the approachable, soft. Don't take up a lot of somebody's time or space. Like in the beginning, like take it slow. Like life's long. So it's a lot of stories and frameworks. It's kind of the entertaining and educational mix thing that I tried to really do. So if people don't like the frameworks, there's a lot of stories in between and that kind of stuff. But yeah, like my whole life's in there. So it's kind of it's the first half of my life, and like my favorite stories, my favorite tips, my favorite people, a lot of screw ups, a lot of yeah, like each chapter is me failing at something in the beginning, essentially.
What else are words for you? Could you elaborate on this a bit more, Michael? Because I think that like 80% of your life is writing.
It's the challenge of the thing I was bad at, like the obstacle is the way thing, where it's words. I wasn't good at them growing up. So that challenge is like, and you don't have to be in that, like, I'm not the best in the world at what I do. Like in the book, I have a story of like, it's from a Tim Ferriss interview, actually. He said something like, the person who came in first, like in like Michael Phelps, may not be the best person to teach you how to swim. But the person who came in six, who had to like who's short, who doesn't have a sharp torso, that person had to find other ways to come in sixth place. Like, and he had to overcompensate in other areas and train harder in like areas that the naturals didn't have. So I think with words, I fight harder, just because I think words to like in terms of my articles, I'm never really selling anything online. Like it's me just giving stuff out. Like I've never sold anything. It's more like it's just my reflection time. But with words is like I think it's the only thing we own, so they should be taken seriously. Yeah, and helping people define their own story and see themselves like and write down a paragraph of who they are and what they stand for. If you get that right, true, honest, the confidence it gives to somebody is like it's incredible how they should see that. Like we don't see ourselves as other people do or how we should. Like if we have a bad experience, it sticks here. If we're weak, it sticks here. If we get made fun of, it's like it sticks here. So we miss the like the other 98% of the time we're doing some pretty good in the world. Like, and we're surviving and we're helping. Like most people are helpful in the street. Like it's not a, but we don't think of that as like something to be proud of, like, which we absolutely should. So the book is that, like, and then I help, like, I work with the 25-year-old range for the confidence of who they are. Like, and then with my, like, the work that pays the bills is the executive types, like, where it's to scale their messages. So I like work with people who work at companies who are CEO types, like have their own company or C-suite that don't have time to build a personal brand. So like I'll work with them to speed up the process and like just kind of like they say some great things, but a little changing of the messaging, like just tweaking of like you that idea is great, but what if you just change it to this? So I sit with a lot of sentences that take me like we'll argue for hours over one sentence kind of thing. But once they get that sentence right, they can scale their impact easier. So I hope, like, I'm a bridge kind of two of the new world and old world. I'm right in the middle, like the 55-year-old who doesn't get the new world, and the 25-year-old who does. Like I'm the bridge that connects those people who are like they're like social impact influencers. There's no social impact influencers. It's like it's like I'd like to change that. The reason being is they're not on social media a lot. They're in the real world doing things. So I'll help them to relate more with the new world. So everything I do is word related, though. If it's my own stories, if it's other people's stories, how to say them, how to write them, is what I. That's what gets me out of bed.
And for you, Michael, it is now a time where paused writing your book. You launched your book now. Now you are in a phase where you want to sell your book or where you want people to
Yeah.
buy it.
Well.
And now you're using words to somehow promote your book. So could you share a bit more about like were there something like a pre-launch of the book? What did you do for the pre-launch? And now with the launch, what are you doing right now to sell your book?
Yeah. So I did it. Like I'm really bad at self promotion. It's like I'm good with other people's stuff. And what really helped is how to figure out how to self promote. The writing the book part was easy for me. Like after I had like I learned how to write books. The selling of it is difficult. And what worked for me is I read my own book again. Like, and it's me like one-on-one calls to people. It's asking for help. It's like instead of me saying like my book, da da da, da, it's like it's a story from someone in the book. If it's a like I got endorsements from like Cal Newport and other people, it's like how that happened is like an introduction from a friend who I used to run a mastermind group for. So it's like turning stuff into the story form. So me just going out and saying like my book, buy it, da da da. Like I just can't do that, and I don't like when other people do it. It's like I don't dislike it, like, but it doesn't sell me. So I went back to like I kind of had to figure out how to be me again, like while self promoting, like, and it was one on one conversations, like asking for help, getting feedback on what I was doing. Like in Substack, my first article there, it went viral somehow. Like they say that distribution's like it doesn't exist on Substack. They're like really wrong about that. Like as I wrote something about how I'm struggling self-promoting the book. And it's the thing is like I will learn how to do these things I need to do, but like yeah, it sucks for me. It's hard for me. Like, and most writers feel that. Like it's kind of like it like I didn't realize how smart it was at the time for a Substack launch article, but like there's writers and long form readers on Substack, and I wrote it like in a way of like I don't like this marketing stuff. 9 out of 10 writers don't like this marketing stuff. So it kind of like me leaning into and just being honest, like I don't know what I'm doing. I wake up nervous now. My wife talks, I don't hear her mouth. My kids jump on me, I don't feel anything because of this. And I in Substack, my reason for coming over there is to have an outlet of I'm not going to promote the book here while I promote the book here.
Yeah, sure. I love that. I love that. I read this
Yeah, it's
article. I also
fun.
thought it was very, very strong. And it's one of the reasons why I invited you to hop on the Zoom
It
call.
was fun. God, it felt good. You know, like that was like Saturday morning. I wrote it like, and I was like, my wife was like, I don't know if this is really good or awful. And I was like, well, that's a good sign. Yeah. But it was like that creative breakthrough was what I needed. Like I was so stressed about launch stuff and like I've never had a to-do list and I have a to-do list now and I don't know how to do that. And that article was just like 60 days of frustration, like launched out and like, this is how I'm going to do it. And, but with LinkedIn, Substack, I have email lists going back years, like in friends, like, and it's the thing of the book though, too, is like, I've always been a slow burn. It's like, I'm not the one that's number one on, well, at least anymore on like Medium or articles. I don't have massive titles anymore. I've kind of gotten older. Like, I don't like to speak in certain terms because I've changed my mind on almost everything in life. So it's more like it's going to be a slow burn of talking to you, of an interview tomorrow, of conversations. Like having conversations instead of interviews is a lot like it's more comfortable for me. Like, and I have some people who can help. Like my coach is friends with a big podcast, like number like top 10 podcaster that maybe like I need that's going to get to him like and he's going to recommend me on his podcast and Business Insider again and all this kind of stuff. But I'm going to try and do like one interview a week, write one article a week, write a note a day. Like I've never done anything a day, like, and like this is a challenge for me to do it. But just kind of like, hey, instead of these big hits, like just keep chipping away at it. And usually things like the dominoes, like for my writing, it's like I didn't think that Substack thing would pop off. And that's led to 1,000, close to 1,000 followers and like 5 articles I've written there. Like it's wait for those dominoes to kind of hit, like, and they'll start to knock over other stuff. But I have to keep doing what I want to do. Like, and I need reminders of that, of like, slow down, do you, phone calls,
Yeah.
interviews, write an article, just do what you do.
And so you really have to do the work. So everyone's watching this, even if you're like smaller than Michael, only having, let's say, 5,000 followers or so, and only a small, email list. Still, Michael has to do a lot of self-promotion, although he doesn't like this. This is what I love hearing here from him. And what he's doing is,
tough.
just yeah. And what about your publisher? So you are now a published author, am I right? You have an agent.
Yeah.
It is published with a publisher. And does your
Yeah.
agent help you or your publisher with marketing the book? Because I heard from many, they only help like in the launch phase or pre-launch phase, and then they stop. You have to do all the thing. What is
It's
happening
the
with you?
thing. My big driver for not so for going with a traditional publisher was the accessibility for people. Like it's in like last week, I got a really good review from Library Journal, like which to most people, I had no idea what the hell it was. But my mom called me 48 hours afterwards, and my book has been ordered in her 2 closest libraries. So it's got Publishers Weekly wrote a really good review. I had no idea who they were, but they're like the world's leading thing for getting it in the bookstores, college campuses. So my publisher like has done that like real world book placement. They've done a really good job. Online stuff, like it's true, like you got to sell your book. They're going to help when they can. Some like if you get a massive advance and you're a huge name, they're going to get you on the freaking TV every morning, like our massive podcasts and stuff. they're gonna get like if they give you a $500,000, $100,000, 50,000, they want their money back. So they're gonna pull strings, call contacts, and get you press. For us, like it's my first book, my expectations were pretty low. Like I knew it was my work to do. There's pros and cons, and I like what your friend Veronica's
Veronica,
doing.
yeah.
Like I need to talk to her because she's promoting her book really well. Like she like it feels authentic. Like she's selling it. Like, but it doesn't feel like she's like it seems like that's what she does. That's who she is. So I need to talk to her because I have a feeling she's going to do a really good job on her launch.
Yeah, so Michael is talking about Veronica Joka Smith. You can find a video interview with her here. And Veronica is a soon to be Penguin Random House published
Yeah,
author, which
yeah.
is awesome. And now in the pre launch phase, she is already somehow promoting her anti procrastinator book. And this is awesome, you know. No one asked her to do this, but she's doing this. And then she also has the
She's going
lemon
to do
tree
well.
mindset and is promoting this. And again, she doesn't want to sound salesy. She's also an introvert. She has 2 kids.
And
And
she's from Spain.
she's
No,
from
she's from the Canary
Canary
Islands.
Islands. Exactly. Yeah, from
I
the
need to meet her
Canary. You have to meet
as
her. Yeah, I
the
wanted to connect you with her too. And yeah, and this is what I love hearing these stories. And Michael, do you remember the when your agent approached you? How many followers you had on Medium back then
oh,
with
I
this
had like
story?
500. Yeah, like not a lot, like less than 1,000.
Less than 1,000. And then
Yeah, yeah,
already an agent
yeah,
approached you
yeah.
only based on this
Yeah,
story
like
about
I had a
stuttering.
like I had an article like it went viral. I think it got 20,000 views or something.
Yeah.
But I had like less than 1,000. I've been writing for like 18 months, and she just saw something. Like my job with students or like young writers is to see potential. Like I gravitate towards like if I see someone who I'm like, oh my God, if I got a month with them, her yeah, like that's what lights me up is finding like coming across that. And she's like I'm kind of her pet thing, but like she's always said that kind of too. Like she's like, you have a soft spot in my heart for this stuff. It like, and she worked at Penguin as the director of marketing for like the food side for like 20 years. I talked with Penguin a couple of times, and it was just like I didn't have the audience size for the U.S. market. But the second book, maybe it's getting the first book done for me,
And you
like and
you
getting
don't
it
have the
out.
audience size.
Well, I didn't like no, I didn't have the email list like with the U like yeah, with Medium. Yeah, I don't know. It's the thing of Medium of how relevant. Like what is followers right now? I'm not getting any views on Medium. Like more views on Substack with no followers. So it's kind of like if I had gotten a big advance with Penguin, like I would have been really stressed out because I couldn't like I don't know how to navigate Medium. Like and I'm not going to change how I write. Like I'm too old for that. So like it's weird of how like if I had a list of 80,000 people, like personal email list, I would have gotten the deal.
And how many subscribers do you have right now?
So I have I don't know like it's a 10,000 or something.
And these 10,000
And
are from based on your
that's
Medium stories and everything
yeah, and I
featured in.
my big thing is I wrote a lot with Forge and the Medium owned publications, and I couldn't have a CTA. So I probably have 10 million views there, and I got the subscribers off of the like off of a 10% of the views. Like, and looking back, I shouldn't like I was just excited to get paid to write. Like, and I was getting featured by people who now work at the New York Times, like Los Angeles Times, and it was really great for the confidence. And I didn't care about email subscribers. And looking back, I should have cared about email subscribers, but like I like hustling again too. If I had a big contract or a big deal, it's like if I had like a large advance, I would have been really stressed out. So it's yeah, I got to write like the publisher kind of let me do my own thing. Like and they trusted me. My feedback was like this book's really good. You know, like we're going to clean up sentences and commas and that kind of stuff, but do your thing.
And so you wrote the book in 100 days and then you gave it to an editor, I think. And then how long
Yeah, I
did it
wrote
take
the
from these 100 days then?
yeah, like I started the book 4 years before it took me 100 days to actually write it, but the editing was pretty quick with him. Like it was back and forth a couple times, and that was it. Like I'm a writer. Like I had a writer friend, Benjamin Sledge, who's on Medium. He worked with my same agent. He's a great writer. Like he was with me on the cleaning up side as I was doing it, like and helping on story and developmental editing. So when I got it to my publisher, it was already pretty tight. So it was all quick. It's just a long process of waiting. Like, but they need to sell it. Like it's going to be translated in Korean, Like I sold the rights there already, like which would be really cool to see the book and like the design of a Korean artist on the cover and stuff like that. Spain, I'm thinking should be coming pretty soon, but I wouldn't have had any of that stuff if I was on my own with this.
Yeah.
So it's more of a long-term play, and I get like royalties, a couple pennies. Like if I can sell it in 20 countries, those pennies add up. And I'm not online enough to self-promote my own book. Like I wouldn't make any money self-promoting my own book just because it's like I'm not active enough online and I don't want to be.
Yeah, I remember you said something like, I'd never thought I'd get to a place where days like today would become possible. And
Yeah,
now
it's
these days
not.
become possible. Snorkeling, now you're picking up the kids, you are a published book
Yeah,
author.
and I get to write and I have
You're,
cool clients. Like
yeah,
it's kind of like I'm good.
yeah, you're
It's like
good.
I don't need much, you know?
Yeah, awesome. So I have
Yeah.
three more questions for you, rapid fire questions. What do your favorite dish in where you live?
My favorite food. Oh my God. I could go on for days. Right now I'm eating a lot of ropa vieja sandwiches, which is Cuban. But I like Catalan food in general. Like I like tapas, I like patatas bravas, I like the fish and rice dishes here. Like I eat everything here.
Would you say something in Spanish?
Tú eres muy super guapa.
Okay. What's this? Guapa
You're
is
really
good.
pretty.
Pretty.
You're super pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guapa. Cool.
But I
And
speak, yeah, like I speak now, it's like I'm switching over to Catalan. So yeah, it's fun.
yeah, you learned this in Spanish
It's
day
like
gaming or
French.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, I mix them all now. Like I speak Spanish, English. My Spanish was really good until I started trying Catalan, and now I'm confused.
And now you're gonna pick up your kids. What is the first thing you're gonna do with your kids today?
I think I'm gonna run them to the beach, and we may play a game of FIFA before my wife gets home from work. But it's hot here now, so it's usually they chill out for a couple hours.
Yeah, and Michael, I think a lot of people fell in love with you. And how can they connect with you?
On Substack's a good place just because I'm like most active. I like how it's Twitter and an article combined, and I want to have a podcast there eventually and like and do video stuff. That's going to be my home. But my on LinkedIn, like it's MikeThompsonblog.com, I think on LinkedIn. I'm active there. And my website is michaelthompson.art, like artist, like and all of the info on the book is there. But stop by and say hi at like any of those places. Like I write to meet people, so it's like, yeah, I get these things like I don't want to annoy you, and I'm like I think a lot of people think that, so no one annoys me. Like I don't get emails a lot saying, "Hey, how are you doing?" Like it's kind of like that's why I write. Like and they're like, "I know you're busy." I'm like, "I'm trying not to be busy." Like yeah, like you can message me. I want it, you know? It's like I need it physically.
So we heard that Michael needs it. And I'd like to say, I'd like to say thank you so much, Michael. It was a delightful interview with you today.
This was really fun, and I'm so glad I got to link up with you, and I have a feeling we'll probably talk again.
Thank you so much for tuning in. If you found this valuable, you can subscribe to the show. Please consider giving it a rating or leaving a review, as this helps others find the show. See ya in the next episode.